I don't even want to hear it right now.
Understandable. Oh.
We're good. Okay. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to TapCaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast generous enough to give you 2 Q&A episodes in 2 weeks in a row. No other podcast is doing this for you. I am one of your hosts, Corey. Joining me, as always, is my co-host from the East co-host, Mr. Justin EckhartsLadder. I'm going to keep introducing you like that. I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's a nice and cozy way to be introduced, and I like the alliteration. Is that alliteration? I don't know, but I like it. Yeah.
It's kind of... I mean, there's other letters in there at the start of words, so not really, but it was better the first time, honestly, though, if we're being...
Yeah, but if we're going to be fair.
This week, we are doing, once again, a Q&A episode like we did last week. We will be getting to, hopefully, the next NJO book before you have to take your contractually mandated paternity leave. So,
contractually, yes. That's a good word for it. Yeah, I've been trying to get excuse me, to get a book done, but my wife is, of course, super pregnant. So I am kind of doing double duty when it comes to the kids and work. So I haven't had much time for anything, much less reading. So yeah, unfortunately.
You struggle with it at the best of times, let's be honest.
Yeah, remedial reader at best.
Right. Well, so we had a bunch of questions that were kind of held over from last week that we didn't have time to get to, and there are a few more that have been submitted today as well. So we got plenty to talk about. Visions, you were able to watch most of it, but we didn't have all of it in the bin.
Let's save that for soon. But yeah.
All right. So, any Star Wars news we need to talk about before we get into this nice, generous pile of questions?
I don't think so. There wasn't a whole lot this week.
No hotels have closed down this week?
No hotels have closed down. I think when we covered that, nothing really. I'm looking at like the Star Wars news feed I've got, and I don't see anything really. So
the Star Wars news feed I have, open up r/Star Wars leaks.
No, I do have a Google thing, okay, and I don't see anything there.
All right, well, I don't think there's been anything. I'm not sure when to expect anything either. There's no big news days coming up.
Yeah, the next thing we'll probably get is like something Ahsoka related. Like I forget which one of the actors. I think it was Ezra's actor kind of hinted that something would be coming. There was an article today at Entertainment Weekly, so it may have been that. But there could be something else as well.
And maybe we'll get something KOTOR remake related.
Yeah, I guess that is one of the things I guess that happened where like KOTOR remake, it's dead, it's not dead.
I mean, it
doesn't seem very alive.
Well, there was the investor call, and the thing that started going around was that one of the questions was about the KOTOR remake. The president, I think it was, of whatever the company's called, Embracer Group, that's what it was, joked that was their favorite question, and then said that's all they had to say on that topic. Which that started getting passed around as like, oh, that means it's dead. It was like, I don't think so. I don't think that's what that means. It's hard to tell without the context of like tone and without them talking any more about it. But then the actual report came out, and it's listed as an announced project that is ongoing. So if it was completely dead, it wouldn't be in there. But there's also some other projects that have been going on for a while with no news in that release. So it's all still up in the air. Probably not going to hear too much about it anytime soon.
Yeah, that was one of the other YouTubers who asked that question. I can't remember which one it was.
Probably 100% Star Wars. Or something.
Yeah, I think so. But so shout out to him. But yeah, it's maybe happening. Like saying that's my favorite question. Like it's a complete. And I don't mean this like in a derogatory way, but it's like kind of a weasel answer. Because like it could be canceled later, and you're like, oh, well, I couldn't say anything, or it could be, still going. It's like, yeah, I gave you guys a little hint.
So. Yeah, you're not going to say in an investor meeting, yeah, that's not happening, but it would also probably be some kind of fraud if you imply it is, and how much would you invest to ask a question just about the KOTOR remake? I don't know
Yeah,
if I'm going
I
all
was
in on
wondering about
Embracer.
that. I was wondering about that. It must like anyone with X amount of shares, I guess, gets to call in. So, um, I just it's really strange to me that this can't get off the ground because it seems pretty I don't want to say a KOTOR remake is easy because it's not like, but I mean you see like how well like Resident Evil's remake did and like other remakes are really finding their legs. And like with Resident Evil, that's a franchise where they changed the game completely, or maybe it was Resident Evil 2 where they like completely changed it to more action, and it was still really well loved. And that was also like a Sony thing, I believe. So it's so weird to me that it can't get off the ground.
Yeah, the thing that's kind of stuck out to me is just how many companies we knew pitched the game before this
Mm.
happened. So I don't like it's always hard to say what the reasons are, and you can easily just Monday morning quarterback. I don't know what football's on Sunday, so it is Monday morning quarterbacking, right? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
just
Yep.
can you do a video about that on your NFL channel just to make sure that I don't get it wrong in
There
the
was
future?
also Monday Night Football too, so it's tough.
Sake. Like
Yeah.
Tuesday afternoon quarterbacking then? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
most efficient time? Is it going to be Tuesday then?
Yeah. Well, there's some nice Thursday games too,
Oh,
so
for fuck's sakes.
yeah.
But
Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough.
but yeah, like we talked about it before where you're really negative on the choice of Aspire from the start, and I was kind of saying uh it's hard to judge that. And I still don't think I was wrong to take that approach. But
Mhm.
clearly, in this instant, like we don't want to get too deep into results based thinking here, Justin.
No,
But you
no.
just happen to be right.
Just this one time.
Yeah, never
Yeah.
happened before or since.
Yeah, like I guess we'll see. It's just a bummer because I feel like it's just so obvious. Like it's the one thing that like um everyone wanted to see, and like it was like the most the most poorly kept secret in video game. Like that's when it was finally announced, that's what everyone said. And I'm just, if you had told me when that trailer came out, well, the little, not really a trailer, the little thing that came out, I guess I wouldn't have been surprised, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's starting to seem like Ubisoft's game is the next one we might get too much
Yeah,
information on, unless Hunters actually comes out sometime this year.
who cares?
I kind of do. I care.
Will
Me
you
and
play it on the
Charlie are going to
Switch or
play it.
on the phone?
Probably my Switch.
Okay.
Like, there's something about mobile gaming that even if it's a game I really want to play, I don't know. I just playing on my phone never feels right.
I've got no problem on my phone. I just not convinced that one's going to be good. But
All right. Well, first, I guess we'll open up with Joel's question here. Thoughts on the turmoil in Hollywood because the studios are not paying writers, causing a drought in Star Wars films and TV shows in the near future.
yeah, I mean, that was another bit of news where one of the trades said, I just saw this on Star Wars Leaks. One of the trades said Mando season 4 filming has been moved back 2 months, or maybe it was writing, so some aspect of production anyway. I assume writing has been moved back 2 months, and it's only going to get worse. And it's like it's actually we're kind of dealing with something similar. I mean, obviously not similar in terms of content, but we've got a strike here of
Yeah. Well, more locally for your unincorporated company, Charlie refuses to write anything as well.
yeah, well, who cares? But no, like my kids' teachers, they're on strike for it's like the support workers, but that includes the pre-primary teachers,
Right.
and he's in pre-primary. And since the strike started, there haven't even been talks between the government and the striking parties. And by all, it's been like 3 weeks since they're probably going to lose the rest of the school year. By all accounts, it seems like that's what's going on with the writer's strike as well. Like these are really, there's a lot of money at play here, like in terms of royalties, especially for streaming. Um, So it seems like, just like last time, Hollywood's willing to take some lost revenue if it means future proofing things for executives. But hopefully the writers can get what they want.
Yeah, like I don't think it'll actually be, since the question specifically said near future, I don't think we're really going to start seeing the effects of this until after next year.
Yeah.
Because the shows that we're going to be getting for the rest of this year into next year are already in post production for most of them. Like Acolyte, we're not going to see until mid to late next year. Same with Andor. The writing's already done for those. And those are kind of the two big shows for next year. So
I can see
unless
Andor being affected by it. Like I know the principal writing's done, but Tony Gilroy, like he won't be working on it. I don't know. Like at some point, I kind of just wonder whether they say fuck it and wait. But
yeah, I think they're really going to try to avoid waiting on that. And maybe it'll affect the quality, but I feel like it's probably not going to be too bad. Maybe they'll start pushing some shows back a little bit to cover up some of the space. With like CBS is pushing Big Brother back into the fall to cover up for not having. Yeah, no, there were so many. Oh, it was so annoying because when the announcement came out, people were like, "There's not supposed to be writers on this show's fake." It's like, no, they don't have any shows for the fall when all the scripted stuff is coming up. So they're taking Big Brother. They're making Big Brother and Survivor 90 minutes because they don't have writers for those shows. So they're just kind of covering those gaps with extra Survivor and Big Brother content. It's not because those shows are scripted, but anyway, that's similar idea, but different issue.
I think Mando season 4 will probably be the first one that really is affected, I imagine. I wonder.
We'll be heading for another 2-year gap.
I don't know if the Bad Batch are writer or animation writers under the same union. That's one that I've been wondering about. Like, because couldn't that be affected as well based on how the timing is working out?
I think they are. But yeah, like that one probably as a 2025 release, like yeah, that's probably going to be pushed back a bit from it. It's hard to say when until we next
year. Yeah,
yeah. It didn't seem like they were super far into it, but I think like Tales of the Jedi is probably done writing. Like they might be in actual production on that.
Completely forgot we were getting another season of that.
Yeah, they've only done what Dave Filoni mentioning that it's going to happen at Celebration. So, like I feel like 2024 probably is fine. If the strike ends in the next 3 months, we're probably not going to notice too much of a difference. But if it goes on for a long time, then that's going to be movies and TV shows that are in a much rougher place.
Star Wars Vision Season 3 should be fine because it's all not American. So
yeah,
I wonder if they'll go back to Japanese only for Volume 3, or if they'll stay international.
Yeah, I wonder if like Volume 3 is going to involve some sequels as well.
Yeah, that's one thing that I would really like to see. I know we're not talking Visions today, but I also like just watching. I've really liked. I've really liked this Star Wars Visions Volume 2, especially visually. I thought it's been great, but we need to see a space battle. Like Oda King's TIE Fighter series or TIE Fighter short, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to see something like that, or like something by like one of those Japanese animation studios who did like one of the mech shows, like what's the big one called? Yeah, Gundam Seed, like one of those shows. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. I just want to, we'll definitely talk about it more when we get to an actual Visions episode. I just want to ban the child finds out they have force powers and gets taken away by a mentor storyline from season 3.
I did like the second episode, I think, which kind of threw that on its head a little. Screecher's Reach. That
I liked all the episodes that had that. It's just so many have that, but this is getting probably too much into actual Visions talk.
I think that's probably what happens when you. I think the way they do it is they just let everyone, do what they want, and then you end up having a lot of crossover.
Yeah, there's It's clearly not a coordinated thing. Just write the thing you want to write, and then.
Mm.
But our next question comes from G. Finch, who wants to know what's a Star Wars book series that you wish never happened, and you can't answer Dark Nest. I wouldn't answer Dark Nest, but
No, I wouldn't. Oh, speaking of, Timothy Zahn is coming to HalCon this year.
oh,
so
nice.
I might
When
have to
is
go and see
HalCon?
him. I think it's October. Let me see.
If you remember a little conversation we were having.
Yeah, it's October 27 to 29.
Damn. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll talk to Dan. Does the Harbor
Yeah.
Hopper still go at the end of October? I think it does.
I'm not sure. Man, the Harbor Hopper is everywhere. Also, my city is on fucking fire right now. Like there are so many fires in Halifax. I went to the waterfront with the kids today. For one, I thought it was going to be reasonably nice. I'm out there for like an hour. It's 33 fucking degrees. It's June 1st. What is going on? And there's a crazy fire that displaced like I think it's like 10,000 people. That I don't want to exaggerate, but it's a lot of people. It's in one of the suburbs outside the city. That's where my sister's house is. We still don't know whether her house is burnt down or not. But that's not even the biggest one. There's a huge fire, the biggest in provincial history, down in the South Shore, just kind of fucking roaring around. And like today, there were like 4 new fires popped up, and one in downtown Halifax. It's I don't know if is it the same in Ottawa? Like, is it just because it's been so dry? I guess
we haven't had any, but like Edmonton and like out in Alberta, the whole province has been on
like
fire
a couple
until
months,
it stopped,
yeah.
and then Nova Scotia seems to have taken over from that. Like after you were talking to us about it, I was trying to Google news about it, and I found like 6 different fires. I was like, which there's the one at the hotel down the street from, or at the building down the street from where me, Charlie, and Zach were staying. But hopefully everyone's staying safe.
That one was a bit smaller, but yeah, no one's died yet, which is pretty incredible. Like some of the videos that have come out are insane, but thankfully no one's died yet. But there's going to be like hundreds of millions of dollars in property damage.
Right. Well, what do you want to remove?
Oh yeah, what's book series? Do you have an answer first? I got to think about this a little bit.
I'm really not sure because the easiest answer for stuff we've talked about before is probably Legacy. Even though I don't think we have anything specific against Legacy as it exists. It's just, had the universe continued on, it felt like it would be kind of messy for the stories, and then it just didn't continue on. So the alternative is stuff like Crystal Star, New Rebellion, which just feels kind of like cheating to get rid of for the ones that don't affect anything. And for the ones that do affect stuff, there's some important story progression in there. Like I kind of have to look behind me and see.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm scrolling through a list of Legends books. I can't really think of any that I. They said it's Legends specifically, eh?
And Ilkin's favorite question: can you hear me?
I don't know. I can't think of any in particular that I really, really hated. Yeah, I'm gonna think about this for the rest of the episode when I think of a book that I want to.
Okay, actually, I got this.
Okay.
Since iJedi exists, I'm fine with getting rid of the Jedi Academy trilogy.
You lose a lot of Kip.
Cool. We have Zek.
Okay.
And Ganner. There's like 6 characters that do the exact same fucking thing.
You don't mind Krita getting getting yeeted?
This happens in the background. Who gives a shit?
For me, it would, like, if I were going to remove one, it would probably be like one of the post Fate of the Jedi books. One of those couple books.
Oh, like Crosscurrent and Riptide? Or no, yeah. Post Fate of the Jedi is just Crucible.
Crucible, yeah. I don't really like that book a whole lot, so that might be my choice. But I'm going to think about this a bit more.
When Star Wars really gets into its fascist simping.
Yeah.
Like really goes for it. Yeah, I look, I don't hate the Jedi Academy trilogy, but if I have to remove something, it's the thing I specifically have not enjoyed as much as I thought I would coming into it on the podcast. And we have iJedi telling the same story, but
I
kind of the
wouldn't
same story,
mind
but
like
better.
the whole Callista trilogy could go.
With all the warlords. Think about what you're taking away from the universe with that.
I feel like the yeah, I guess that's a good point. Okay, just Planet of Twilight then.
Okay, that I can get behind as well.
Mhm.
We haven't
Is
even
it
done New
Dark
Rebellion
Saber
yet.
that does all the? Is Dark Saber the one that does all the
Yeah,
warlord stuff? Yeah.
warlords. Yeah, it's like the other option is like Scourge or something. But if I say Scourge, no one's even gonna know that's a book. So
There's a few of the late X-wing novels I don't dislike. I just don't really think about a lot. I wouldn't remove.
or
Yeah, like I wouldn't remove them. I don't think about them a whole lot. Like
Yeah.
Starfighters of Adamar, which again I think I gave like a B, and it's Aaron Alston. So like I don't dislike it. It's just it doesn't hold much space in my mind. I would one thing that I would consider removing, and it's very controversial, just so I don't have to hear about it, the Bane trilogy.
yeah, I feel like we're both on the same page with that. But
Most
like,
overrated. Yep.
I don't want to get the emails. I like some characters from it, but it's
Yeah, I like the
overrated.
lore generally. Yep.
Next question comes from Michael, who wants to know what Star Wars video games do you and others think have aged well, aged badly, or are ongoing, but will age well or not in the predictive future?
One that's going to age really poorly, the new Star Wars Battlefront 1 already has, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's so shallow.
I don't know if it even aged poorly is like completely fell out of the public consciousness.
Yeah, it was just so shallow. It was, to me, that was like almost closer to like an interactive experience more than a game.
I never played it.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever played it. I might have played it for like 5 minutes.
Like a lot of the N64 era games age, just it was a tough time for games. Like I'm thinking of like the Starfighters one. Rogue Squadron is still pretty good. I played through what's it called? Shadows of the Empire, pretty good still. The Force Unleashed 1 and 2, okay, they're all right. Star Wars Racer, actually, that game still plays really well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other ones that aged really well. Republic Commando is obviously one that I feel like aged extremely poorly.
Yeah, but we're the only two who think that. So I think that's the only reason the game ranking video did well.
One game that still does pretty well, or plays pretty well, that's one of the older ones, is
Empire
the
War with mods.
Empire War with mods, but
Unmodded Empire War, no.
The older Dark Forces, or Dark Forces 1 and 2, basically.
Yeah.
Like those are old games. They're still pretty fun, especially the second one.
Yeah, I think all the Jedi Knight games probably age pretty well. I think Force Unleashed doesn't age as well.
I think that's
Force
fair.
Unleashed 2, it didn't start off well, so it's hard.
Just remember that stupid fight with the giant Rancor thing? Remember that?
Yeah.
Is that 2?
I think that's 2. That's the only thing I remember from what I think is 2. And it's
like an hour long. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I got past that. Like, I think I just stopped playing at that. I literally do not remember what happens in Force Unleashed 2. I probably need to play it again, but I really don't like it.
Yeah. I think probably the game that has aged the best, considering its age, is probably Knights of the Republic.
Yeah, the combat is shit, but like the story in both of them is good enough to...
I actually don't mind the combat. If you like imagine it like you're playing a tabletop game, I think you have some fun.
If you have a stack full of grenades, you'll have some fun. You're just running around a table hoping that your next shot doesn't miss.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But strategy game-wise, Supremacy and Rebellion would age better if you could ever play them, because technically they age like shit. Force Commander, no one ever thought was good. I don't think anyone ever brings Force Commander up to say it was good. Battlegrounds, I think people generally look on fondly.
Rebellion and TIE Fighter are both games that are like somewhat anachronistic, where TIE Fighters, like both of them, they're made before, I believe Rebellion was made before mice were common. So it's a lot of like keyboard commands, which people just aren't used to. And like TIE Fighter is tough because it's like there's like 40 different controls you have to remember, like literally, where it's like this control slightly tunes the angle of the laser, this one puts it outward, this one targets enemies clockwise, this one targets capital ship. It's like, it's pretty crazy.
They're the
But
games where, like, if you say you don't like them, the core fan bases of those games will just call you like an idiot with no attention span or something, and that's exhausting.
yeah, those games are definitely like, I I actually really enjoy X-Wing Alliance though. I think that's the one that's pretty closest to, well, it's the last one, so it's the most modern. But yeah.
Yeah, I find TIE Fighter incredibly boring. I don't like being able to walk away from my computer that much, come back, play for 20 seconds, die, and then
Yep.
go and make lunch while I wait for the game to start again. 'Cause
Yep.
people will be like, "Oh, well, some people like the immersion, the scenery." It's just a empty star field that I'm flying straight into. Don't give me that shit.
Yep.
But the one that I don't think, the one I'm sad about is Squadrons will probably not have any kind of legacy whatsoever, which is sad because it's my favorite Star Wars game still,
Me too. Yeah.
and I really want that, but more popular. So probably needs live support. But yeah.
Yeah, totally agreed.
All right, I think we'll move on from that one. Then our next question, I'm going to jump back to emails actually. Let's see. Adam wants to know, with the announcement of a Dawn of the Jedi film and Acolyte, including characters from the High Republic novels, do you think we could be reaching to a point in the next 15 years where we get a show fully focused on the Old Republic? I think a show about Moment or the 100-Year Darkness would be an amazing storytelling opportunity.
I kind of think they'll probably do a movie first before they do a show.
Yeah, like
But
we've got the Dawn of the Jedi movie, which will probably be as close to that as we're gonna
yeah.
get, where it's just like probably a large scale fight between Jedi and Sith, or Sith and Jedi adjacent characters at some point. Like, that's probably going to be lightsaber battles all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know. Like, I wouldn't rule out any individual character for a cross media story at this point. I can't say whether I think any
Nope.
specific one has a high chance, but I wouldn't rule anyone out, which is it's a neat time to be in. Next question comes from Aaron, who says, Eck and Corey each get to tell James Luceno what they want his next book in Canada to be about. What story would each of you personally want to see him tell? And then he's going to retire. So we get to say what James Luceno's final Star Wars book would be.
Okay. So he's got to retire afterwards. I think he could do an interesting, riffing off Plagueis. I think he could do an interesting Snoke story, maybe. Which I know Snoke is going to somewhat be he came out of a vat, but there's got to be something else there about him. Like he came from somewhere before that, presumably. So I think that could be an interesting one.
So I would want to wait until after Dave Filoni's movie and have him do a book that kind of synthesizes some of the Warlord stuff into the wider galaxy. Because I think James Luceno is the best author who will take a thing that a bunch of other people have worked on and work parts of it in. So I think we'd get the elements of the Aftermath trilogy that people say would make the other Warlord stuff impossible, and get a reasonable explanation that should probably work for most people. But I think he's been really good at that kind of thing in the past.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I like that one.
That's an interesting question.
Mm.
Tavasti wants to know if we are going to ever cover the Phase 2 of the High Republic, which, I mean, ideally, we want to get to everything at some point. I don't know if we have a chance to get to it before Phase 3 even happens, and at that point, if we might just go into Phase 3 as the books come out, depending on when that is, and skip Phase 2 to revisit later, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing about Phase 2. It's like, I haven't read anything of the air, so I don't want to say anything about the quality because I haven't read it yet. But it is a prequel, basically. So I feel like you'll be okay skipping and going to Phase 3, I hope. I'm going to need to do some reading anyway, so.
Yeah, like, it's with definitely wanting to finish the NJO in a reasonable amount of time, like that'd probably take us up until at least phase 3 is coming out. So even if we can start doing phase 3 as it's coming out, I don't think we'll have time to fit in phase 2 before, even though we'll probably try to like loop back around and finish it. Might get some people mad at us for not knowing what some of the references are when we do phase 3.
Yeah.
If we don't have the phase 2 context, but oh well, that's life.
Way she goes. Way she goes.
Way the road. Way the road.
Way the road. Yep.
All right. We'll go to another YouTube question. Wisco Wisdom wants to know, would Corey be more successful if he also had a mustache? Absolutely not.
You could try it.
No. I don't think it really worked out for me that month when I didn't shave for the donation.
I don't even think you left it a month, did you?
Yeah, I did. I think it was over a month.
I don't even remember what you looked like. Did you even go on camera?
Yeah, I was there's was your tournament when it like that? No. It was during Squadrons. There's clips and highlights of it out there.
Okay. I don't remember what you looked like, to be honest.
Okay, well, it wasn't great. Michael wants to know, different Michael this time, how does shielding actually work in Star Wars? Like the TIEs and Mando finale just got blasted just blasted that cruiser with these. The answer is just however the storyteller needs them to work in that moment.
Yeah, it's one of the more inconsistent bits of just of the universe. Like, there's a few moments where you do see shields in live action. The famous one that everyone used to claim existed is when the Death Star shoots Alderaan. People claim you can see it hit the planetary shield, which I don't know. I never really saw that.
You can see it hit the background matting.
Yeah, exactly. The big shield moments that I can remember are in episode 1 when Anakin turns on his fighter. You can see the shield kind of goes around it and a couple of bolts blast off it. Then in episode 2, during the Jango Obi-Wan fight, you can see there's a moment where Jango's right behind Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter, and he's like peppering it, and you can see the shield popping up. But other than that, except for like destroyer droids and shielded doors and stuff, you don't really. They play at the speed of plot, kind of.
Yeah.
Where they can be implied later on.
Yeah, and like even in books, you'll have some times where the shields spend a lot of time down and someone comes in, like in the X-Wing books, the shields are down, they almost destroy a capital ship with one rogue fighter, not even a bomber, because like they were buzzing the bridge and they could have just blown everyone up that way. Then you have the Corellian trilogy, I think it is, where Han is working on the Millennium Falcon and they turn the shields down and they test the shields by having the ship literally just sit on the shields in the hangar. So
yeah, I remember that.
Sometimes stuff can go through, sometimes not. You have like local overloading of shields, and that's how you get projectiles through. Sometimes you just have projectiles can always go through. There's a whole like ray shield versus particle shield explanation where ray shields block turbo lasers, particle shield would block physical projectiles. So like any story that involves shields, there's going to be a different explanation of how they work.
Yep. Yeah. The general like on the way the lore is supposed to work is there's different types of shields. Sometimes even like 3, where there's one for heat or radiation as well. But it's not really. There aren't many cases where it's like handled analytically.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, this is, we've got through the ray shields. Now we can use our lasers. It's really just the X-Wing series is the only one I think that really takes shields seriously, where they do kind of have those attack runs on one part of the shield, like Corey said, and then that section will go down, and then there'll be a little open hole, which is a fun way to do it, I think.
Yeah, like games are usually the best place to have to come up with a system for how shields work because it's the game mechanic the whole time. But I've seen a lot of like fans that'll try to be like, this is the definitive way shields will work from now on, or hoping that someone will write that into a book. But it's like, if you do that, it's like the XKCD comic where there are 7 competing standards. Someone should make a universal one. There are now 8 competing standards. Like it's going to be that situation no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Cedric wants to know, do you think that the Galactic Alliance and the Empire joining up in the Yuuzhan Vong War is believable? I just finished the Force Heretic, or just finished the Force Heretic one. Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought we said
I think we both said yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you're probably right. I don't have great memory, so. Matrix wants to know, do you think we'll get the Yuuzhan Vong back in canon, possibly in Rey's New Jedi Order? I think the possibility for their return would increase if they decide to bring the Outbound Flight back into canon somehow during Ahsoka or Heir to the Empire.
Well, Corey pointed out the Outbound Flight is contemplated by the other Thrawn novels.
Yeah.
I don't think so, though. There might be something similar, because they are going to need some sort of different enemy at some point. I don't know whether the enemy for Ahsoka for Rey's movie will be First Order and Imperials, or whether it's the Sith or something else. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Sith, actually, but at some point we're going to need something different. So there might be something similar, but I doubt we'll get we'll straight up get the Yuuzhan Vong back.
Yeah, I don't think using Outbound Flight will get in that direction either, because like the person who's going to be bringing Outbound Flight elements back into their stories would be Tim Zahn. But unless like Dave Filoni really likes to use Yuuzhan Vong, which I doubt, then yeah, because like even Timothy Zahn is now saying that he never, like, it's everyone else that said the threats in the unknown regions were the Yuuzhan Vong. I didn't mean to connect it to that. I always meant the Grisks, which is kind of a like, okay, buddy, but yeah, it's not going to be him pushing for the Vong coming in. I don't know that he ever really particularly liked the Vong or the NJO. He was one of the bigger name authors that didn't contribute to it directly, even if like Survivor's Quest and some of the mentions in Outbound Flight seem to hint at that pretty directly, whatever he's saying now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like maybe with how much he's talking up the Grisk, then other people will start picking up on that, and they'll be the new threat, kind of replacing the Yuuzhan Vong.
I don't find the Grisk that compelling. I like the idea of them operating behind the scenes and like manipulating people, but I don't feel like they really took. But that could just be me.
Yeah. I think part of that is the Ascendancy trilogy is a bit dry, so I don't know. Maybe they can be made to be interesting. Like there was a brief few minutes where the Mandalorian trailer was like, are these Grisk? And no, but maybe someday that'll actually be real.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Ryan, who says, I know Corey had a video on how and when it's possible from Star Wars for two people of different species and legends to have kids. Given how things end up in Jedi Survivor between Cal and Marin, and since Dathomirians are near human, I was wondering if such a union has ever resulted in a kid before now, or even any proof they can in Star Wars Legends or canon. Personally, I view the possibility of Dathomirians and humans being able to have kids together as going either way. After all, the males look very different from humans with all their horns and other features, while females are seemingly just hot women with gray-colored skin. Got to love that George Lucas' sexual dimorphism, where the men are unique species and the women are just women.
Yeah, Tenel Ka, right?
Well, in Legends, the Night Sisters aren't, or I guess they kind of get retconned into it with Clone Wars stuff applying to that. So technically, yeah, that works. But like in Legends especially, the explanation for almost all the species is some kind of Rakatan panspermia. Like Twi'leks, Zabrak, Chiss. Well, Chiss not because of the Rakatan, but like they're all species that diverged pretty quickly, pretty recently. So everyone's able to interbreed. If you care about like trying to figure out an explanation for it, the other explanation is just it's like space fantasy, so everyone just fucks everyone, and then sometimes they have kids. And that's, like we've seen Hera and Kanan now. Zabrak aren't that much different. We've got Tenel Ka in Legends.
They're saying Maul was born to a human mother. I don't remember that.
Well, it
Could you?
seems like the Dathomirian
Yeah,
women are just like
yeah,
Marin is a Dathomirian, which seems to be a branch of Zabrak.
yeah,
So
yeah. You could fuck Bowdur and KOTOR too, couldn't you? I
yeah,
wonder
and then
if.
you get a baby. That's what the remote's
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
That's why
The
Bowdur was
remote.
like so into finding Mitra.
I can't think of any other hybrids, but it's gotta be. Yeah, you think it's possible.
Did you ever play the restored content, like the
No,
Bowdur
I
storyline?
didn't. I never
Well,
did.
when you meet Bowdur, because like in the game at release, he talks about like, oh, I served under Mitra in like I served under Yuuzhan.
Mm-hmm.
I served under you. Soft spoken, but like
Yeah, he is.
the way you get the way you get introduced to the remote is like he says, Mitra, there's someone I'd like you to meet, and then the remote flies out and it's got a little bit of like white hair on the top. So it was a lot more explicit at that point, but they wanted to kind of walk that
Mm-hmm.
back.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of any other. What other hybrid?
Valentine Farfalla is another one that Mark really
Yeah,
liked.
obviously. Z- what's his name? Jason and
Yeah,
Canon. Twilight Human never seems to be much of a problem.
no. There's the Locane kids, which are not Cuts kids biologically, but they are a different humans kids with
Yeah, clones are shooting blanks, right? Besides for Boba.
are they?
Maybe
I don't
not.
really pay attention to that part of the lore, so
Hmm. I can't think of any clone. Can't think of any clone kids. Hmm.
they've got to be out there. But also the clones themselves are only like 10 years old, so it's really inappropriate that any of it happens. Like
That's
the whole
true.
cut situation, it's not
It's like the opposite of like the anime 5-year-old girls who are 1,000-year-old deities or whatever.
clone. Are you saying clones are just lollies?
No, they're like reverse lollies, which is based. Man,
Jeez.
I got in such a fight with somebody on Reddit about how lollies are disgusting, and of course,
You were pro or con that statement.
obviously, I was anti lolly.
Okay,
Um,
making sure.
but yeah, it was a guy on live stream fails. He's like, it's cool. I was like, it's really not that cool.
Oh yeah, in Legends at least we do have Attain Termerkin marrying Armin.
Who? Who?
It's from the Republic Commando books, and then their kids are
Oh
around
yeah,
in Legacy of the
right.
Force.
I forgot about
So
that.
yeah.
Hmm.
Remember
Okay.
when they were training the best fighter in the Jedi Order on how to beat a Sith Lord? Her brother, who she was always better than in lightsaber combat. Remember that? Remember how that happened? How Boba, I've lost to every Jedi I've ever fought. Fett was training Jaina Solo on how to do that. That was a reasonable plot line that I love. Can't wait to get to that one.
Here's a good question that I saw on, I think it was Ma Installation, which is a subreddit, and also the Ma Installation. Um, can you think of any time a Sith in Legends has been killed by a non-Force user? The one that I thought of was how it's technically Han who kills Palpatine in Dark Empire.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. There's got to be one in. Thinking there's got to be one like in Fate of the Jedi. At some point, Han or Leia must kill a Sith, like a lost tribe of the Sith individual. But I
Do they
couldn't think
count
of any.
though?
Yeah, I think so. I think they do. But yeah, could you think of any others?
Uh,
I guess like in KOTOR, like during the Jedi Sith War, some of them would have been killed.
yeah, but like none of the leadership. Like Revan
Hmm.
kills Malik. The whole group of people kill Nihilus. Scion kills himself because he's too emo. Kreia.
He's got really bad not scabies, just really bad skin issue, psoriasis.
Hmm, there's gotta be a better way.
Yeah.
Like Bane is Xana. Xana
Hmm.
is question mark.
Natural, presumably. her apprentice, presumably.
Yeah, I don't think it really happens.
Yeah.
Darth Maul is killed by Obi-Wan repeatedly.
Except in Old Wounds when he's killed by Uncle Ben, but that's different.
Yeah, doesn't
Uncle
seem like
Ben, not Uncle Ben. He's not killed by Uncle Ben.
Rice or
Can you
Spider-Man
imagine?
version.
Uncle Ben, fuck sakes.
I knew what you meant, but it just
Yeah.
that's their fusion dance result between Obi-Wan and Uncle Owen. You get Uncle Ben. Yeah, I'd have to look at it some more. I'm getting the name Darth Riven at the top of my head there, but it's probably not true. All right, I'm gonna take a look at the question tab again. Marmar wants to know, what film director do you think could make a really good Star Wars movie or show? Personally, I think Todd Phillips might be able to put a really good film.
Who could? Ryan Johnson, probably.
Yeah, I think he'd do good if he got a chance to. Like, unironically, I think if he gets his own trilogy someday and it's something that's removed from the Skywalkers,
Yeah.
people won't go in with the same expectations and they'll be a lot more open. Like, if you look at reviews for everything the man's ever made, like, people love almost all of it.
Yeah, no, he would, I think, actually be my choice. Yeah.
Yeah, you took my answer. I was going to say a little-known director named Ryan Johnson, but I think we're both on the same page there then.
Mm-hmm.
The Danklord wants to know, what are the best and worst Star Wars fan theories you've heard?
The best Star Wars theory is easily taller Luke.
Right?
Have you seen that one? Where there's a second taller Luke who gets swapped in on during the original trilogy. That's gonna be my favorite. The worst is that stupid Palpatine to fight the Yuuzhan Vong one. I hate that one.
That's not even really a fan theory. That's a Zan theory.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate that one.
I think one of the dumbest ones has to be like Mace Windu with Snoke.
There was a lot of fun X's Snoke during the like I was looking to see if there are any pictures for Gallius Rax.
Yeah.
And it's just Snoke. It's just different pictures of Snoke.
And then you generated Henry Cavill.
He didn't even look like Henry Cavill.
He looks like Henry Cavill. He looks exactly like Henry Cavill. That's literally Henry Cavill.
Corey went white guy with black hair.
I don't think you're Henry Cavill.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, look, if you look at that and you don't see Henry Cavill,
dude, he's got a sharp jaw, but he looks like he's probably like he looks like he might be like Spanish or something.
Yeah. He looks like Henry Cavill to me. He's either no, he's Henry Cavill. I don't want to hear it.
It's because he's got slicked hair.
Henry Cavill. If you don't think that AI image was pulling from Henry Cavill more than anything else, then I don't know what to tell you. All right. Legoing Legion wants to know, do you think Lumiya was being genuine when she offered Luke an olive branch? I was rooting for Luke to forgive and take her hand. Darth Caedus' chest plate is such a cool design, simple yet unique.
No, I don't think so. I don't think she was.
Yeah. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 16 times in 14 comics and 3 books. Shame on me. I think that's Luke's approach at that point. It was never.
I do like their the comic where they fight 2 or 3 times. I can't remember, but those are fun comics. I'd recommend them.
I do like Lumiya as a villain that pops up repeatedly.
Yeah, me too. She's cool.
Like that.
I'd love to see her in canon.
Yeah. I wonder if we could get there with like Shin. Is Shin going to be more of a Mara Jade or more of a Lumiya?
I feel so stupid because the Shin as marriage, like a Mara Jade analog, didn't really dawn on me till like this week.
I thought we talked about it on the podcast.
Maybe I just forgot. But I love Shin because, like, at least from the images that I've seen of her, because she just looks so fucking crazy the whole time. Like she looks like she's jacked up on something. Her eyes are like wide open. Like there's that shot of her in the ship, and her like she's. I just think she's going to be a really interesting character.
Yeah, I'm real sad about Ray Stevenson.
Yeah, me too.
Like obviously the big loss there isn't that we don't get a Star Wars character more. Like the dude the dude died,
Dude
but
fucking died.
looking at it from a very myopic,
But that is a loss
unempathetic
as well. Yeah.
perspective is
No, I
it,
said that. I said that last. I totally agree. I kind of hope that his character comes to a natural conclusion because it'll suck if they had more from him. And
yeah.
I like. I'm personally a recast guy. So I don't even think it's disrespectful to recast somebody. Like the one thing, the big recast that I remember, the one that made the most sense is in the Matrix.
The Oracle? Orpheus?
Yeah. Not Morpheus.
No,
Morpheus doesn't get.
Oracle. What's her name? Is it just the Oracle? Is that?
Yeah, that's just her name. That's her name. Where I for some reason I grew up thinking she died in 9/11, but she just died in 2001 in September, not during 9/11.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was I loved her character in the first one, but the I thought the recast for that worked pretty well. Plus, it's like, yeah, I just look different because I'm a fucking program. Get over it.
Yeah. Like I kind of see Star Wars as a soap opera that I actually like. So the role of who gives a shit will now be played by some other guy. Like fine. Like I thought Alden was a perfectly good Han. I agree with Mark Hamill. If they want to do more Luke stuff, just cast someone that's age appropriate. Don't keep CGI aging down Luke. Like there's if we, even though she's already been in as her own character, if Carrie Fisher's daughter gets to play Leia, cool. Like I'd be 100% on board.
Yeah, I think if they knew somehow Carrie Fisher was going to die, they never would have put Billy in as is her name? Her name's Billy, right?
Yeah, Billy Lord.
Billy Lord. Yeah, I don't think they ever would have put her in because I think she looks enough like her mom that at some point she could have played her. Or again, for me, I don't care. The tough one for me, like I think I would have a tough time with the recasted Luke just because he's like a mythological figure at this point. But I think I'd get over it. And certainly for other characters, like if someone dies or can't do it again, just recast. Like Game of Thrones did it many times. Other stories,
Harry
like
Potter did it in a much more racist way for one of their characters.
Oh, who's that? I didn't know that.
Lavender Brown was black for like the first 4 or 5 movies. Then as soon as she was going to be a love interest for one of the main trio, suddenly she's white.
Wasn't she black in the books?
I don't think any of them have explicit races in the books. Like I don't think
other than Seamus Finnegan.
Yes.
And Cho Chang, of course.
Yes.
I just figured with the name Cho Chang, anyone with the last name Brown, J.K. Rowling probably made black because
her naming conventions were not subtle or particularly good.
Seamus Finnegan, or was it Mick Finnegan? I think it was just
Seamus Finnegan.
Yeah.
And then like the one Jewish character was Anthony Goldstein.
Oh my god.
The Chinese character was Cho Chang. Like it was not good.
The Canadian character is Bob McKenzie.
Bored. But we have a bit longer of a question from Matt, who is seeing a lot of. I'll try to truncate it a little bit for time, but Matt saw a lot of parallels in Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order between Marin and Cal and Luke and Mara in the Thrawn trilogy. So basically, semi-dark side user. I see
one parallel.
Taron Malicos. Okay, what's your?
Well, just the enemy to lover thing.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say something about them just banging or something, but that's kind of what you were doing. But yeah,
2 hot women. I don't know.
Yeah, so the Dathomir subplot and the triangle of Cal, Marin, and of course Taron Malicos. So that would be the Thrawn trilogy of Luke, Mara, and Sabayoth. Then you have the potential ally to enemy in a Bacta tank with the Thrawn clone. Uh, and rather than a direct story parallels, I was under the impression that Cal developed into a Jedi that may or may not be inspired by the new Jedi Order, torn between the questions of preventive action and a more wait-and-see approach using a blaster, allowing himself to have a partner. So I think there's some superficial parallels there, and there's like in their relationship dynamic, there's definitely like the goody two shoes Cal in the more like edgy Marin. But I think for like the Malicos to Sabayoth comparison, like the relationship between the three of them is very different.
Can I read you
And
something? Can I read you something?
go for
I'm
it.
sorry.
I saw your little lip twitching up there. I wasn't sure what you were reading.
It's called Crossing Paths of the Force.
Oh no.
Because I was thinking, oh, man, Marin and Mara, that could be a pretty hot fanfic.
No.
So I got the robot to write me one. Do you want me to read it?
Go for it.
Okay. This is pretty good. Okay. As dusk fell on Dathomir, a lone shuttle descended the rusty hues of the atmosphere, setting down near the ruins of the Night Brothers village. Emerging from the shuttle was the distinct figure of Mara Jade, the Emperor's Hand. She was not here for conquest or reconnaissance. Mara was on a mission, a personal quest to understand the Force better. A presence she felt on Dathomir intrigued her, an echo in the Force she hadn't seen before. Marin, the last of the Night Sisters, was startled by the sudden intrusion. Despite her usual guarded nature, she felt an unusual warmth from this intruder, an energy in the Force that was inviting. Upon sensing each other, Mara and Marin hesitated. Mara, the Emperor's assassin, and Marin, a survivor of the Clone Wars. The Force intertwined them, pushing and pulling at their fates. Their eyes met in silent understanding, two women from different worlds, yet tied by the same invisible threads. In the days that followed, they trained together. Mara was surprised by Marin's magic, a form of the Force she hadn't encountered before. Marin, on the other hand, was awed by Mara's precision and control over the Force, her red lightsaber humming in rhythm with her movements. They were different and the same, reflection of each other's pain and strength. Your control over the Force is impeccable, Marin complimented Mara one day after a particularly intense session. Her emerald eyes glistened with admiration. Mara shrugged, a smirk on her lips. And your magic? It's something entirely unique. It's beautiful, Marin. The Night Sister blushed at the compliment. Her pale skin turned a light shade of pink. They began to learn from each other, growing not just in knowledge, but also in affection. Night after night, they sat by the bonfire, sharing tales of their past and dreams of the future, a bond formed deeper than any relationship. Their hearts beat in sync with the rhythm of the Force, creating a harmony that neither of them had experienced before. They found solace in each other, a sanctuary from their past torment. One evening, Mara, as the twin moons of Dathomir cast a haunting glow over them, one evening, as the twin moons of Dathomir cast a haunting glow over them, Marin turned towards Mara. What will you do when you leave Dathomir? Mara looked deep in Marin's eyes. I don't know, Marin, but one thing for certain is that I don't want to leave without you. A look of surprise and then happiness washed over Marin's face. I don't want to be without you either, Mara, she confessed, her voice barely a whisper. They moved closer, their hearts beating in a frenzy, and under the stars of Dathomir they shared a tender kiss, a pledge of their love and shared destiny, a love born amidst their difference and solidified by the Force, a love that was destined to challenge the galaxies together. Their paths may have crossed unexpectedly, but now they were inseparable. Their fates intertwined as destined by the Force, as Mara Jade, the Emperor's Hand, and Marin, the last Night Sister, found love in the most unexpected of places, within each other. They were ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy would throw at them, as long as they had each other.
That was awful.
Awful? Dude, there's not going to be any writers within 5 years. Are you serious?
That was so fucking generic.
Dude.
That was generic as fuck, bro.
It was generic as fuck, but what romantic fan fiction isn't?
Some of them get really into details. I don't know. Dude, not that I know that.
The fact that it knows that the twin moons of Dathomir exist and are casting a haunting glow over them.
Good for them. Like, just put that in your spank bank or whatever, and we'll move on with the questions.
I'm just gonna ask, just for myself, write the same story, but make it so Mara has a very uncomfortable boil on her face, which she's self-conscious about. Okay. I'm just going to just do that for me.
All right. Well, I do definitely think there's some parallels in their stories. I don't know if it's quite as intentional, and with Cal going down the dark path there, I think that's a bit different. Like, I do think there are some parallels as well with the NJO story, but having, like, Seer almost being in the Luke position and Cal being in the Kip position
Mhm.
of active versus like rebuilding the order and kind of serving in a different way. But I hope that Cal doesn't turn into Kip Durin in new canon. I hope he stays being a likable character that isn't changed every time that someone different brings him up.
Mhm.
But definitely some interesting stuff there. Anything you'd like, or any parallels you'd like to see coming up in the third game?
Um.
I do think that the Thrawn in a back to tank versus Dagon in a back to tank is a bit of a stretch, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would like to see them have a child.
They have a child.
No, produce one.
Oh, like you
Yeah.
want to see them produce a child, or you want them to have a child?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Kata is the new Ben Skywalker.
I hope she's force sensitive. Like I would like that. Yeah.
I think she is. I think that's what Seer's talking about. I think it's happening.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, there's no way it's not. I would say there's like a 2% chance it doesn't happen. It's too obvious.
Yeah,
I'm so sad we have to wait for the game because the second, major issue. Well, issues, but still so good.
yeah.
How far are you in Zelda, by the way?
I'm at the part where I've downloaded the game.
Okay,
I haven't actually played it yet. No, I keep thinking I want to, but it's just I can't find the time.
Yeah, that's fair. It's crazy that we went from just two like Zelda like games from Survivor right to Tears of the Kingdom. Pretty good time to be a capital G gamer or lowercase G. I don't know.
I don't know. Flipped around G. That's just a 6.
That's a Russian gamer.
Ooh, damn. Let's see. Do you think we'll get a canon version of Starkiller? If so, how would they do it?
No,
I don't think that Starkiller has many traits beyond just powerful and angry. Sometimes.
He's not even really canon in Legends. So
yeah, he's there. He ends up being at a lot of important events for the time that he's around.
Snoke is the new Starkiller.
Ooh. I hope we get a playing as Snoke game. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, you're wearing his fucking bathrobe and accidentally forgetting to close it up and showing your dick to all the stormtroopers. And they gotta awkwardly like.
If we get Jedi Survivor DLC, we need a High Republic robe, and we need Snoke's bathrobe as wearables.
I was really surprised there wasn't a High Republic robe. Sorry.
Yeah. If Bode can take Dagon's lightsaber, we can take Dagon's clothes. That should be the deal.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be going to play poker soon. But we got a couple more questions we can try to lightning round our way through. So from Joel, reading some of the interviews about Ahsoka and especially with the villains, do you think the Ahsoka version of Thrawn can blend together some of what Tim Zahn is doing with Star Wars Rebels? Or at the very least, if not make Thrawn a full-blown anti-hero, at least make Thrawn a villain with more nuance compared to Palpatine, who has no nuance.
I mean, he'll be nuanced, but I think it'll be more like original trilogy where he's. I think we've answered this before, where he's not like. I don't think he's going to be outright cruel like the Emperor or Vader is, but I don't think he's going to be a good guy.
Yeah, like I don't think he's getting into anti-hero territory. He's going to be the villain of of Dave Filoni's movie, almost certainly. And I think there'll be more nuance to him just because live action actors always want to put a bit more into them. But I'm not expecting a huge depth of character to him, especially with like we're getting him in Ahsoka. We're probably going to get him between Ahsoka and Dave's movie, but like with how it's going to be an ensemble, I don't think you're going to have that much time to show like Thrawn as a villain, but also adding in Thrawn as a more sympathetic character. Like maybe in some books you'll get a bit more of that if Timothy Zahn gets to write.
They're going to have a whole show before it's handled in the movie, so maybe,
but like I don't think he's going to be that present in Ahsoka.
Yeah, I really have no idea how what that show is going to be like. To be honest, I'm very interested.
It seems like Balin and Shin are the focus of Ahsoka for villains, with Thrawn being kind of the figure in the background moving the pieces around. So you'll get some scenes with Thrawn, some storyline with him, but like they're not setting him up to finish him off in that.
Yeah.
Not in the same way that you were being set up to be finished off with that Marin and Mara fanfic.
Set up. I got through. I'm done.
Well, you heard it here first,
camera.
folks.
Yep.
Is that why it's so blurry right now?
I don't know what's going on.
Oh well. G Finch, another good question that we can quickly answer. Why is Kenth such a tool? Absolute
Kenth Hamner?
Military sim. Yeah.
He's a boomer.
Yeah. He's the biggest Star Wars boomer, easily.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Who's a bigger Star Wars boomer than Kenth Hamner?
I mean, Kenth Hamner's like a fucking cop. But there's got to be like a Karen or like, I don't know. Like there's different kinds of boomers, like derogatory.
Is Dala the Star Wars Karen?
See, Dala has extreme boomer energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else would fit that mold. I don't think Isard probably more than Dala, actually.
Really? Because I think of Dala, especially like in Dala, especially in the Legacy of the Force or Fate of the Jedi, where she's very boomerish.
There's a bit more calculation to what she's doing rather than just like outright anger and entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
And like, especially in Darksaber, where she's kind of the voice of reason, as far as like voice of reason in a room full of fascist losers goes. Whereas Isard, like, there's almost two elements to her where like sometimes she has this icy coldness to her, but other times there's like this fire to her. And I feel like the books would have benefited from exploring that a bit more, maybe with some like physical characterization.
Like maybe her eyes could be different color.
Yeah, like if the books had mentioned what color her eyes were, that reflected a bit more of her character, that could have been a cool thing for them to do. But
I'm gonna say something controversial.
What's that?
I feel like old Leia would be a big time boomer.
There's a little in some of the later books. I didn't want to say it because
yeah. What about Pelion?
Pelion does have some. He's
like him saying the Empire always strikes back. I just imagine him fucking looking back and forth across the bridge. It's like he's like got the fucking Gen Z bridge crew. And they're like, this guy's so fucking cheesy.
What is he even referring to?
Yeah.
It's like that time on Hoth. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Borsk Failure. He's a bit of a boomer.
He's a bit of a boomer.
He's like, okay,
he did boom at the end. That's true.
Yeah, he might be the generation after a boomer or before a boomer.
He's the greatest generation, silent generation.
I think it's the last great generation. Where, well, how they see themselves, anyways. Where he's very like stuck in the past, and he's very like he has like a very rigid, conservative view of the universe.
That's kind of Pelion though too. Where Pelion is almost like the racist grandpa who thinks he's progressive because he whispers racial slurs instead of shouting them.
I just asked the AI for 10. It gave me. I just clicked it now, and actually it had a lot that we had. It had Tarkin, which I don't see Tarkin as a boomer.
No.
Crix Maydeen. I don't really remember much about him.
He did also explode, didn't he? On Darksaber?
Yeah. Borsk Failure. Admiral Dala. And then it's just like just a Tarkin again. It's not 10.
It's not great with lists.
Admiral not great with lists. But I do find it funny how it got some of the ones we got. Oh, the Nogri? What? This is the Nogri. They held old oaths and ways of life, and were slow to accept new information about the Empire's true nature, reflecting a resistance to change that aligns with some boomer stereotypes. Okay.
Interesting. All right. Well, I think with ChatGPT being racist, we're gonna leave it there for the week. Hopefully, we'll be
Not
able
all
to.
no green.
Hopefully, we'll be able to get Rebel Dream in for next week. If not, Visions should be 100% guaranteed. One of the two.
I think I finished all of them except maybe one before this. Okay. So yeah.
So we'll definitely be doing either Visions or Rebel Dream. I know we kind of said that last time, but we lie.
Life comes at you fast, baby.
All right. Well, what else is going to be coming at people fast tonight, Justin?
Probably some poker over on poker, and then probably Bureau Card or Fortnite or something over on Corey Loses on Twitch and X2 on YouTube.
That's all perfectly true. Hope to see some of you there. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, for leaving reviews on your favorite podcastual apps, for tweeting about the show, for telling your grandparents that they should listen to the show, and then explaining why they should still talk to you after making that recommendation. But we'll see you next time.
You guys can contact me for more of my fan fiction. I'm going to put this together as a novel, I think. So just let me know.
It's not your fan fiction. You didn't write it. You just asked a bot to plagiarize it for you.
Maybe that was just what I said, so I could present it in a socially acceptable way.
I don't know if it's socially acceptable. I don't think it's any better, because you still thought this was good enough to share.